It's the perfect complement to your family dinner. Big E Shootaround is with you at a new time, and we've got a jam-packed show. Jay Alter, John Fanta, we're ready to rev it up.
Jay Wright, coming off a national championship, joins us. John Rothstein, Mr. College Basketball, in studio. And we got a lot of off-season news to get through, John. Who stayed, who goed as we ramp up for the NBA draft just 2 weeks away from tonight.
But one thing that the summer has brought for you college hoops fans, it's the 4th annual TBT. And what I'm talking about is the tournament. And we are excited because for the first time, there is a Big East pod in this alumni tournament of your favorite college basketball stars of the past. It
is such a great idea in the summer to get the names of the past, the guys you rooted for every weekend during the college basketball season. And so cool that the Big East has gotten together with the basketball tournament and put together a Big East pod. It'll be in Milwaukee. Marquette is hosting. You got Georgetown, Seton Hall, the Johnnies, and of course the Golden Eagles. That's going to be a lot of fun. End of June, early July.
That's right. June 30th, July 1st at the Al McGuire Center on Marquette's campus, and you can watch it on the Watch ESPN app, as the whole tournament will be televised through the ESPN networks. And here's some players to watch.
Well, you mentioned the names that you know and love. How about a recent one? Kadeem Carrington slotted in for Seton Hall. Jameel Wilson, who lit it up in Summer League a year ago, will be with the Golden Eagles, the team hosting. A lot of fun.
You see Anthony Mason there. I can't wait to see him and the Johnnies get it rolling. And then, a familiar face not too long ago at all, it's Devonta Smith-Rivera, who was a dynamic scorer for those Hoyas.
And we're hearing Patrick Ewing Jr. will be suiting up for the Hoyas as well. A lot to look forward to coming your way in Milwaukee.
It's perfect. You go through that college hoops withdrawal, and you're thinking, what can I watch during the summer? Well, the TBT has been the perfect answer to that.
You want to talk about off-season fun? Nobody's been busier this college basketball off-season than Villanova head coach Jay Wright. Since winning the national championship, he's been to Rome, he's seen the Pope, he's played golf with Phil Mickelson, and oh, by the way, he's helped 4 of his players get ready for the NBA draft. Here's John Fanta's conversation with the Nova head coach.
Coach, you've had quite the last couple of months here after winning the title. What's been your favorite festivity?
Oh, wow. I mean, everything's been pretty cool. We've got to do a lot of good things. I still have to say, meeting the Pope was still the best, man. It's a once-in-a-lifetime and as exciting as anything we've done, including winning the championship.
I heard there's a story with the Pope, you giving him the basketball. Can you tell us that story?
Well, we were prepared. The priest there helped me to prepare my Italian to speak to him. And I think I was supposed to say, Grazie, Santo Padre, Coraggio. That was, thank you, blessed Father, and have courage. And I was practicing my Italian, and when I handed him the ball, he said in perfect English, "Oh, thank you. Do you want me to sign it?" And I never got to use my Italian, and I just went straight to English. I said, "No, Father, this is a gift for you." And he said, "Oh, thank you very much." So he spoke perfect English. I didn't get to use my Italian, and but we still had a great visit. Got to take a picture with him. He spoke to us. It was pretty cool.
Turning to your team, you talk about that process for your program. You've got 4 guys going through the process of the NBA draft. What's your takeaway when I say that?
It's been very time-consuming. Usually we have 1 or 2 guys, but having 4 guys going through this at the same time, it takes up a lot of your time. And they're your guys, but those guys aren't playing for you next year. So you're spending a lot of time with them, and you want to be able to balance yourself and be able to talk with your guys that are playing for you next year and spend time with them. So that's been a challenge. But I'm really impressed and very pleased with how the 4 guys that are in this process have handled it. I think they've been really intelligent about it. Even their choices, Dante and Omari, who had difficult choices to make, but had good options. It was a difficult decision, but good options. And I think they made the right decisions. Mikhail and Jalen, very businesslike as usual. I think they've both put themselves in great spots. So overall, I feel really good about the way everyone's handled it. Our staff has put a lot of time into it, and the players obviously have done a really good job.
Let's turn to next season, Coach, and it's early, but what's your forecast for your squad?
I have no idea, man. I know Phil and Eric will be Eric Pascal, Phil Booth will be our leaders. I know that. We've got a few guys coming back that played last year. Just a couple that played really meaningful minutes. Colin Gillespie and Demir Cosby-Roundtree. So we're going to have a lot of young guys, a lot of inexperienced guys that are going to have to step up. So, it's going to be the journey of the season to see how everyone responds, see what type of team we can build. But it's exciting. We'll definitely be in a different type of situation, but it's exciting here.
Do you get excited for the challenge of it, having really a fresh slate and a fresh roster?
I really do. I like it much better when you have a year like last year when you got a lot of guys coming back and you get a chance to be a really good team. I love that. I wouldn't trade that for anything. But there is something to be said for having a really young, inexperienced group that are unproven and they're excited about their opportunity, and just see how they respond. See what you can do with this team. It's the excitement level is just as high. It's just kind of a different feeling and a different challenge.
Talking about your freshmen that are coming in, what can Javon Quinterly add to your program at point guard?
Well, he is as creative with the ball in terms of his ball handling, passing, ability to get anywhere on the floor as anybody we've had. Now he's got to learn how to play at this level. He's got to learn how to play in our system. But his creativity with the ball and his ability to get other people's shots, make other people better, is really exciting for us.
Coach, I got to go off the court here before we let you go a little bit. You played Shinnecock Hills earlier this week with Phil Mickelson. How did it go?
Thrill of a lifetime. Shinnecock Hills won. It was brutal, man. But watching, it was a windy day, which made it even more difficult. But one of the most beautiful places in our country, just the landscape there. They've got it set up for the Open, obviously, makes it tougher, but even more beautiful. But watching Phil prepare for the Open, he was there to play with us, but also to get a feel for the course. He had his caddy with him, his brother, and also his swing coach. But to watch them take notes and roll balls, on the greens and off the greens, and watch Phil really prepare for an Open, it showed the excellence and the commitment to excellence of the great ones. Just like any sport, it would be like LeBron James would approach a final. It was really impressive to see that. And of course, he's a great guy, just a cool guy to hang out with.
Love it, Coach. Any other summer plans? Because I've seen you with the Pope, Phil Mickelson, and I saw you with your dog at the Phillies game.
Yeah, they called me on Bark in the Park. No, man, hopefully it'll quiet down some. We can enjoy a summer playing, working out with our guys here and getting to the Jersey Shore.
Enjoy the shore, Coach. We'll see you at the NBA draft.
Thanks, man.
Coach Wright, he's been everywhere.
And I'll tell you what, 2 weeks from tonight, he will have a huge night at the Barclays Center. Since he's taken over Villanova, the most guys that Nova has had drafted in one draft, that was 2006. Randy Foye, Kyle Lowry. That was just two. Well, guess what, Coach Wright? You're more than likely going to double that to 4 2 weeks from tonight. Really cool stuff as he helps those guys take the next step.
Coming up on the show, John Rothstein on what 2 out of 3 national championships means for Villanova, the future of their recruiting, all that stuff and more. But first, we've got a Twitter poll that we ran last week that generated a bunch of buzz.
We love the feedback. We're going to show some of the best submissions, but we put out there, you got to give us your all-time Big East starting 5, point guard through center. And, you know, we sent it out there. Boy, did you guys respond in a big way. We can't show all the submissions. Little recency bias here with Josh Hart, Bryce Cotton, and Matt Held. Hello.
I love this one. Lowry, Allen, Mullen. And then Hart a power forward. That's what he did there, a little bit of versatility. And then Patrick Ewing was ultra popular.
Yep, small ball on that last lineup. Little throwbacks here with the late, great Pearl Washington at point. Ed Pinckney getting in at power forward on that submission. Just awesome submissions. AI very popular as well. How about little Carmelo Anthony at small forward? And, yeah, Mourning and Ewing. Oh, my. I wouldn't want to drive in on those two.
So it gets us thinking, what is Jay Alter's all-time Big East 5?
It's so tough. There is no right answer. I think it's just got to be what your reaction was watching these guys. So let's take a crack at it. I went at point guard. Again, the recency bias. Jalen Brunson, 2-time national champ, Big East Player of the Year, National Player of the Year. And then Mullen and Butler, they're just my wings. Those are my guys. Interchangeable shooting guard, small forward. You got to go with Mullen, that sweet lefty jumper. And then Jimmy Butler, I love playing at Marquette. Doug McDermott, another National Player of the Year at Creighton. And you got to go Big Pat at center. My wild card is the 6-man Curtis Sumter. I grew up the son of 2 Villanova grads. I mean, when I was a kid, Curtis Sumter was the man. My first ever email was Nova34 at OptOnline. That email is no longer in use because 34 Sumter. And if he didn't tear his ACL, he 15-year NBA career.
That's where you can send your complaints to. No, that email is actually, remember, it's your favorite.
Right.
Favorite starting 5.
It's a personal, not the best, favorite.
Who's your all-time Big East 5? If you're watching the show right now, give it to us in the comments. We're on Periscope and Facebook Live. Quickly, AI, Ray Allen, Chris Mullen, Angel Delgado, Patrick Ewing.
Love it.
Those would be my favorite 5.
And again, it is personal, and we love the submissions. People went all Providence, all Marquette, all Nova, because guess what? Those are your favorite guys. You're a fan of the team. You root for them, and then you love the throwbacks. So Ray Allen, a lot of Kemba Walker, AI. Really good stuff.
So feel free to comment below. We've got that for you. What else do we got tonight?
Well, we got a Dante DiVincenzo draft profile. I will make a comparison to an NBA player, an all-star that I think DiVincenzo can get to the level of, and we'll continue to break down this crazy offseason in Big East basketball. A lot of people, John Rothstein included, telling us this is the most wide open the league has been since realignment.
We touched on all that and more with the Insider's Insider. Here he is, John Rothstein. We've got CBS Sports Insider John Rothstein in studio with us. Does college basketball ever stop?
Never stops. 365. Good to be here with you guys.
Great to have you on. We start with this right here in the big city. New York's team, St. John's, with quite the week. The return of Shamari Pons, the transfer of Mustafa Heron. We'll see if he's eligible for this upcoming season. But what does that mean for the Red Storm?
Well, if Mustafa Heron is eligible, St. John's will have the most talented roster in the Big East and one of the best perimeters, not just in the Big East, but in the country. I think, one of the things we've seen is you can't dismiss the impact of transfers. We saw it last year with Justin Simon and Marvin Clark, and Chris Mullen has told me repeatedly that he expects the same type of impact from Mikey Dixon and C.D. Keita, who are expected to be in their top 6 next year. But if Heron is eligible, it adds a new wrinkle, not just to St. John's, but also the Big East.
So we're already one question in, and John Rothstein fires off that St. John's would have the most talented roster if eligible.
Doesn't mean they're going to be the best team.
Right, it's true.
But the best roster in the Big East would be at St. John's if Mustafa Heron can play in 18-19.
For the last 5 years, the most talented roster in the Big East has belonged to Villanova.
No
they
question.
lose 4 guys to the draft. How do the Wildcats go about reloading? And as you said many times, Fortune 500 company, if you're talking to the shareholders of Villanova right now, what would you say to them?
Well, I think one of the things we learned at Villanova really throughout this 5-year run, not even just, winning the national championships, but getting in situations where you're getting 1 and 2 seeds in the NCAA tournament, is that, the entire product felt like it was more than I think, the entire parts as a singular type of object. And I think you're going to see the same type of thing next season. Starting out, guys, if we're going to be honest, when this run started, the guys that Villanova really turned things around with were all 4-year players. This is the first time that we've really seen Villanova lose guys, in a group to the NBA draft. So I think when you look at Villanova entering next season, obviously there's going to be a lot on Eric Paschal and Phil Booth because they're the veterans, but they are going to need Javon Quinterly to have a comparable impact to what Jalen Brunson had on the 2016 national championship team. And I think the guy that really is going to be thrust into the fire the most, that's really not being talked about, is Cole Swider. I'd expect Cole Swider, with his three-point shooting ability, to see a lot of time at the 4 with Paschal as a small ball stretch 5. I think you'll see that lineup a lot for Villanova.
That's the outlook for the Wildcats. What does the rest of this league look like?
Yeah, the Big East, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is the most wide open that it's been since realignment. And I think right now, if you look at the teams that are going to be picked 2, 3, 4 in the preseason poll, and you flip them with the teams that are going to be picked 5, 6, 7 in the preseason poll, nobody would be surprised if the order of finish is flipped. And I think it's going to be that type of year for the Big East. If you look, too, beyond Villanova, think about some of the other departures in this league. Creighton loses Kyrie Thomas and Marcus Foster. Providence loses 3 of its top 4 scorers. Xavier loses Trayvon Blewett, J.P. McCure, and Karam Kanter. And also, Butler loses Keelan Martin, and Seton Hall, your alma mater, loses 4 starters. You're bursting at the seams to try and get the words out. So I think one of the things you need to look at is, if you are a team that has been off the radar, waiting for your chance to make a run, like a Marquette, like a Georgetown, like a St. John's, there is no time like the present in the Big East.
Who is your Big East sleeper heading into the upcoming season?
Seton Hall. Seton Hall, to me, is a team that, again, we talked about they lost 4 starters, but they return 2 wings, Miles Powell, Miles Cale, who, we both think have the chance to be all-league players. Miles Powell has a chance to be a first-team All-Big East player. They get Torian Thompson eligible from Syracuse. And, Miles Cale isn't just going to be a breakout player in the Big East. He's going to be a breakout player nationally. Averaged 4.3 points per game last year, but he's the type of player who could average 8 to 10 more points a game next season. The point guard situation is obviously a little bit of a question mark. Quincy McKnight, the transfer from Sacred Heart, is going to get a lot of minutes, probably a legitimate crack there. But I think when you look at the fact that they have veteran players surrounding incoming ones, guys like Torian Thompson, who have played college basketball at a high level before. Torian Thompson was a starter for a Syracuse team that almost made the NCAA tournament. So Seton Hall, I think, is off the radar because they're losing 4 starters, but that, to me, is the dangerous team to watch.
John Rothstein, he runs the best college basketball podcast out there. Make sure you give that a listen all year round. You can catch him in the next couple of weeks on CBS Sports Network as they do their draft previews. John giving the insight as those college guys make the transition to the pros, and, of course, helping us out today, talking Big East basketball. And as he said, it is the most wide open this conference will be since the original realignment. A lot to look forward to.
A lot to look forward to.
Palpable buzz.
Palpable buzz. John, you're following. You got your catchphrases pretty on tight.
John, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
2 weeks from tonight, we will be at the Barclays Center for the NBA Draft. So now it's time to bring you our 3rd installment here at the big board of our Big East Draft Profiles. We brought you Mikal Bridges, then Kyrie Thomas, now Dante DiVincenzo. And John, out of all the Big East prospects into the draft, he has definitely climbed up everyone's draft board the most.
Through the NBA Combine. Of course, that national championship game effort for Big Ragu got the attention of scouts, but he was tied to the top of the vertical at the Combine. On top of that, offensively, he's a guy that has that pull-up shooter in him, can drive to the basket, still needs to get better on that end of the floor, but I think the footwork of him really surprised scouts. When they saw that, they thought, man, this kid, he checks off all the boxes, and capitalizing on the hype, it's perfect timing.
Exactly. Hey, on the national biggest stage, he delivered. At the Combine, he delivered, but still not a finished product. So as we look at an NBA comparison, who is a guy coming into the league who was not a finished product, had the athleticism, had the defensive tenacity?
Who you got?
Give me Jimmy Butler, and you'll say, whoa, NBA All-Star, one of the best scorers right now in the league. But you know what? Coming into the league, he was picked 30th in the first round. He was picked as a defensive guy by Tom Thibodeau in Chicago. I think there's a lot of, when you look at the tape, there's a lot of similarities between Butler and DiVincenzo.
After watching Dante throughout this past season and in the Combine, there's no question in my mind. He can be an all-star because of the hops like that we see out of Butler as a defender. Take a look at this.
A guard who's a rim protector. That's what Jimmy Butler is. That's what Dante DiVincenzo can be. The biggest question mark for the Big Ragu is the offensive side of the floor. But you know what? People forget that was a big question mark for Jimmy Butler as well. It takes time to develop an offensive game in the NBA. And now, Jimmy Butler's got it now. He can definitely sit back, pop one from deep.
Sure.
But he can also beat you to the basket. Something we've seen from DiVincenzo time and time again, using that athleticism, learning to use that athleticism and not just be a shooter.
He's got the pull-up shooter in him. He hit a couple of threes at the Combine that were way deep. But he also, as a sixth man for Villanova, would come off the bench and give them an edge factor. Give them that grittiness to the hole. Dante, his ability to attack really impresses me.
So I'm looking at the versatility. I'm looking at the athleticism. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of NBA fan bases right now that are tweeting at their team, please pick Dante DiVincenzo. We want DiVincenzo. And I'll tell you what, the team that gets him, I'll tell you what, yeah, you could be picking an all-star.
You already want him, but you're going to want him even more after watching the best of the best from the Big Ragu at Nova.
I mean, for myself, it's surreal just being able to be out there with the guys this time. My freshman year, I was unable to be out there, and then seeing them make the run, I was happy, but also it hurt me. Now I'm out there competing with them. It's just surreal.
Hey yo, hello, nice to meet you, Trey Blaze in the tennis, and I got the game with me, and they OTG fitted, out to get it, pay attention, I'm a man on the mission, put a target on them, homie, watch me no scope competition, cause the flow is just insane, no doubts in this campaign, I'm a beast in this damn game, just call me LeBron James, I stay in my own lane, you know what that mean is click up or clip up, get click, don't mess with the team.
Breakout by DiVincenzo.
When did you know you had it tonight?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Sheds. Oh, that is not real. Race into the front court, pass to the trailer. Euro step left, the flip. The big Ragu. 5 to shoot. DiVincenzo. That's another 3.
Well, I was in the gym the next day. I was just working out just because I wanted to shoot. I wanted to work out. But I sat down with Coach Wright probably a couple days after. We just talked about it, and he told me, hey, you need to test the waters.
The Big Ragu taking this game over now, folks. The Big Ragu has got it going. Dante DiVincenzo leads a 16-2 run. DiVincenzo looks to count. Are you kidding me? Bounce for Spellman.
How did he see that?
This ain't a game, but I still play small, man. They tell me that, man. Let's stop the Charleston, cause they don't see your struggle. They don't see your pain and why every day you hustle.
DiVincenzo down! And Villanova wins
My name, cause you write off my name, cause you lame, man. They don't discuss.
I did. What stood out? What do you mean what stood out? What stood out to everybody? Yeah,
I'm trying to get better every single day, and that's what I try to prove. I try to prove that I'm getting better. I try to prove that nothing will stop me to get better. And I respect whatever opinions there are about me, but I know that I have so much more room to grow.
It's frankly unbelievable how things have changed for Big Ragu. I mean, I'm amazed by it. And look, the Villanova guys say, okay, we've seen this in him. We saw it in practice, the workouts, all that. But Jay, to get the attention that he got, it is a dream come true for him what happened in that national championship game. He put everything out there, and it's the showcase of all showcases.
The phrase big players, big games applies to Dante. He had the opportunity. He proved it on the right stage. And that's not it, though. It's that he followed it up with the impressive combine. Look, Villanova's going to have 4 guys drafted. Kyrie Thomas is going to get drafted. Keelan Martin may go off the board. The summer is just starting for Big East guys because we've got a summer league to watch where there will be dozens of Big East players. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Who will you miss the most watching?
It's so tough. You got to go with Jalen Brunson. Just the passing, the head fakes. There won't be a player like him in the country, let alone the league next year. So, yeah, probably JB.
For me, it's Trayvon Blewett and J.P. McCura and what they brought to the floor every game. I mean, McCura just laid it all out on the line. I'll miss those 2 seniors and then the 4 Seton Hall seniors for sure because of what they did. But I look at this. The closing thought here is this. And a lot of Big East fans have been wondering, what do you see as your forecast for next season? Because we've talked with coaches about this, and even John Rothstein brought it up. The league's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
There's more mystery to the league. I don't think that means the league takes a step back. I still think that it's a 5 to 6 bid league in the NCAA tournament. But there are questions to be answered. What could be those answers?
Well, I agree with you that the league won't take a step back. We just don't know the teams that will fill those 5 to 6 spots, and that makes it exciting. That all 10 teams have a legitimate shot to get in to that top 5 or 6.
Who do you like as your dark horse?
You know, John Rothstein said that he sees Georgetown automatically in the top 5. I mean, I guess that doesn't make them a dark horse, but the way they finished last year, I think they do have potential to be in the NCAA tournament next year. Returning Govan, an all-league player, you bring in a recruiting class, you finally have some guards with some experience in handling the ball. I really like Patrick Ewing in year 2 to hop up the league.
And for me, it's Providence. I mean, I know what they lose, but Ed Cooley has raved to us about this recruiting class. He told us last summer, this is my best recruiting class. Yep. David Duke, A.J. Reeves, what they add at the guard spots for the Friars. And on top of that, picture this, Friar fans, at the 3-4-5. At your 3, you have Alpha Diallo. Mm-hmm. At your 4, if healthy, Emmett Holt.
Right.
And at your 5, Nate Watson.
Yeah, it's really exciting because he's got the guys in place, and then he brings in this freshman class that he's been touting could be the perfect blend for Ed Cooley to continue what he is building there in Friartown.
Any weekend plans?
Headed to Saskatoon.
That's right. Jay's calling NLL action. That's the National Lacrosse League.
I got 2 things for you. More likely, Justify wins the Triple Crown or Cleveland wins a game against Golden State.
Cavs win tomorrow night.
Okay.
I mean, the field.
That's enough.
Listen, it's been muddy and muck it up in these 2 other races. Is it not supposed to be nicer Saturday?
It could rain, actually, is what we're hearing.
Really?
Yeah, it could very well rain.
That does it for us. Enjoy all your sporting events. Just think, you've got the Belmont, you've got U.S. Open Golf, you've got World Cup, but all the time, Big East Shootaround. We've got you covered. The road to the NBA draft. It's just revving up, folks. Stay tuned at Big East MBB, at Big East on Twitter, Big East Facebook page, Fox Sports Go. We got you covered. He's Jay. I'm John. Have a great weekend. Barbecue.